Hi, everyone. This is Adam Fishman, the Executive Director of American Friends of Likud, and I want to welcome you once again to our AFL Zoom conference call series, whatever we're calling it these days. And we have the wonderful opportunity today to have a presentation, an opportunity to hear from and then ask questions of our friend Yoseph Haddad. Yoseph is an Israeli Christian Arab who was born in Haifa, currently lives with his family in Nazareth, and he volunteered for the IDF in the Golani Brigade. He became a commander and served and received certificates of excellency and served and led troops into battle in the IDF in the Second Lebanon War, where he was wounded. And during his recovery time from that injury, he determined that he would begin a new project called Vouch for Each Other, as you can see the sign behind him there. Vouch for Each Other, an organization that strives to, well, you know something, I'm not even going to say what it strives to do. I'll let Yosef explain even more so who he is, what he does, and I'll turn it back to you, Yosef.
Okay, thank you very much, Adam, for this presentation. And I would like to, first of all, to say to everyone that for the next hour, what we're going to do is I will introduce myself and I will tell you exactly who I am and obviously why I am doing what I'm doing today. In the second part, we will talk about our organization together, Vouch for Each Other. And then I'm going to talk a bit about the Israeli Arab society. It actually has some of the part of it with the organization together for each other. And then we're going to see how Israeli Arabs are actually contributing and doing for Hasbara, Israeli Hasbara, which is going to be a bit of a shocking for you all guys. And in the last part, what we will do is actually open a Q&A. You can ask any questions you want. I only can say that in the last 2-3 years since I've been doing that, I've been asked all the questions that there is in the world. I doubt it if you can surprise me, but if it is, I will tell you that you did. So my name is Yoseph Haddad. I am 35 years old. I'm an Israeli Arab. As Adam said, I was born in Haifa, raised in Nazareth. And the reason why I am saying this, it's because Haifa is the biggest mixed city in Israel, which means you have Jewish people, Druze, Christian, and Muslim all living together. And Nazareth is the biggest Arabic city, where you have Muslim and Christians living together. The majority of the population is Muslims, 75%, 25% Christians. But along near Nazareth, you have Nazareth Elite, today is Nofa Galil, Migdal HaEmek, Afula, which means I always had diverse friends from all kind of diverse sectors in Israel. I remember it very clearly. I used to finish school, go to home, do my homework, and take the bus right away to Haifa to play football with my friends. Now, if you have American audience there with us, that's what you call soccer. I have no idea why you call it soccer, but for us, we call it football, and we play it with our foot. You call football and you play it with your hands. American logic, I'm not going to even argue about that. Anyway, so eventually, this is the thing that was actually common between all of us. But beside the fact that as a kid, having Jewish friend, having Christian friend, having Muslim friend, and having Druze friend, beside the fact that we were playing football together, and beside the fact that this is the most common thing between us, we had one more thing common between all of us, and the fact that we all were all Israelis. And at that age, we didn't really care if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, if you're Druze. What we really care about is that we are human beings and we were friends together. At some point, obviously at the age of 18, when you arrive to that age, the Druze men and the Jewish are obligated to serve in the army. I am not obligated to serve in the IDF. I'm an Arab, which means if I want to do that, I need to go and volunteer. I asked my question, a question that why my Jewish friends and my Druze friends went to the army, and me as an Arab Israeli, I am not obligated to go to the army. Obviously, I know the answer, but the question was for me to actually criticize that. Just for me, I'm not saying for anybody else. I'm not talking about the whole Arab sector, because we will talk about what I think is the best solution for our Arab sector in Israel. So it was just a personal question for myself. Since the age 0, with all my friends, I felt like I am a proud Arab, a proud Israeli, and that's why I've decided to volunteer and serve in the IDF. And the last time I checked, it is the IDF and not the JDF. It's not a Jewish Defense Force, it's the Israeli Defense Force. And when I decided to do that, I knew that I'm protecting my country, I'm protecting my society, and I'm protecting specifically my Arab Israeli society. Um, so just 1 month before I was supposed to start my service, and by the way, when I did my service, I went and volunteered in the Golani Brigade. Why Golani? Probably because it's the best brigade in the IDF, and the second reason is probably because I'm a bit crazy, because only crazy people go to Golani like that. So I've decided to go and be a combat fighter in the Golani Brigade. And 1 month before I was supposed to start my service, unfortunately, a terrible event happened in Israel. And that terrible event, I say unfortunately, because it is a terrible event, but it also made it even more clear to me and more obvious that the choice that I did was the right choice. Unfortunately, on the 4th of October 2003, a suicide bomber, female suicide bomber, came to the restaurant, to the Maxim restaurant in Haifa, and she blew up the restaurant. Ended up killing 17 civilians. 4 of them were Israeli Arabs. At that point, I understood more and more that when you're an Israeli, it doesn't matter if you're an Arab or a Jewish, as long as you're Israeli, you are a target for terrorism. And I knew that I'm going to serve in the IDF, in the Golani Brigade. I knew that I'm going to protect my society as well, which I always say the whole Israeli society, Arab and Jews. Before I jump 3 years after, which is exactly 2 months before I was supposed to finish my service at the Second Lebanon War, I would say that I was among the few Arabs that become also a commander in the IDF. And I say it as simple as that and as a fact. And I also pass it and put it on the table by saying an Arab commander in the IDF, commander on Jewish soldiers. And I'm saying it like this because a lot of the times that I'm aboard and people ask me the questions about Israel. Is Israel apartheid? Can you become this? Can you do that? I just say to them a simple sentence. I am an Arab who was a commander on Jewish soldiers in the IDF. Simple as that. And a lot of people don't really know about these things. They are surprised even. So these stories are just a simple stories or some simple examples of how misleading conceptions about Israel. But we will talk about it when we get the part of the Hasbara. So I'm jumping forward to just 2 months before I was supposed to finish my service. And in 2006, in August 2006, I was in Bint J'bil, a village in the south of Lebanon. We were fighting Hezbollah terrorist organization. And you know, one of the questions, again, they ask me a lot, do you feel that you had a problem going to Lebanon and fight as an Arab country? They said, listen, I didn't fight an Arab country, I fought a terrorist organization. And by the way, I'm not sure that a lot of people know this information. In the Second Lebanon War, 44 civilians were killed by Hezbollah rockets. Almost 50% of them were from the Arab sector, from the Israeli Arab sector. I'm not sure a lot of people knew this information. On my city, rockets fell down, killing babies and injuring tens of people. So when I was there, I was protecting my society, my country. That's how I feel. And we will talk about, by the way, in the next hour, we will talk about that Israel is not perfect. It's far from being perfect. But it's also far from how they present Israel in the world as well, with all the lies. And that's also something that we will talk about it, and I will explain exactly what we do as an organization. So saying that, unfortunately for me, I lost 3 commanders, 7 friends, and 2 soldiers of my own. One of my commanders that I lost was Ro'i Klein, and Ro'i Klein is a hero here in Israel. When Ro'i Klein decided to jump on a grenade to save his crew, you must understand, he knew that he was going to die, and he's sacrificing his life for his team. This is something unbelievable, and for me, he is a true hero. And unfortunately for me, in a personal note, 2 days before ceasefire, so it was like 2 months before I was supposed to finish my service, and 2 days before ceasefire, I was badly injured. Um, an anti-tank missile was hit on me. I was lucky that it didn't really hit me directly, but it bypassed me and hit a wall that was very close to me. From the explosion, I flew in the air and landed on my belly. I immediately understood that I was injured badly. A lot of blood came from my face. I felt that my body was badly injured. But I want you guys to imagine the next scene. A commander from the Golani Brigade fighting in a war, just got injured, lying on his belly, and the only one thing I'm thinking about is, oh my God, what I am going to tell my mom now. And I'm imagining her face, angry. I told you not to get injured. That's the first thought that it was in my mind. After that, I turned on my back, and then I looked at myself and I understood that my foot was cut off. So what do we do when you see? What do you do when you see your foot was cut off? You start shouting, "My foot was cut off! My foot was cut off!" Now I'm smiling. Back then I didn't. Trust me. So immediately they evacuated me, and then they took me from the shelter, from the first treatment, to the chopper, and from the chopper to Nahariya Hospital. You must understand as well that Hezbollah was waiting for us to, evacuate me back to Israel. So they were waiting. So while we did the evacuation, they shot RPG toward us, bullets, and we managed eventually. My soldiers and my friends and commanders managed to evacuate me back to the chopper and back to Israel. One of the things that I remember is once I entered the hospital, the doctor came to me and said, "What is your dad's number?" And I would look at him and say, "Hey, listen, I will talk to him. I will dial the number." He said, "You cannot move. You barely can talk." He said, "I will talk to him." He said, "Okay, I will make the call. I'll put the phone on you. You will say whatever you want." And that's exactly what happened. He put the phone, and I said, in my last, I think, power, I said, "Dad, I was injured. I'm okay." Totally liar, but I wanted him to hear that. And then I'm off. 5 days later, I woke up after 12 surgeries in my both feet and legs, hand and face. And when I woke up, the instant question was, do I have a foot? So I'm lying in the bed and I'm asking myself, do I have a foot or not? And I want to look, but I'm afraid as well. So I said, okay, it's an easy part. Just take your head a little bit like this, less than half a second, and you will know if you have a foot or not. Um, it felt like half year doing this to this just to see my foot. And eventually, when I looked, I saw that I do have a foot, and they attached it with some metal, and the frustration, crazy frustration that happened, that literally attached my foot to my leg. And from that moment, my battle to rehabilitate started. And it was a very tough year. And I can say to you that in the end of that year, I managed to win. I managed to rehabilitate. Uh, a funny story from that year, my doctor would come to me and say, "Yusuf, listen, uh, what we did with you in terms of surgery and the beginning of the rehabilitation is amazing, and it's quite a miracle. Uh, but there is a sentence: the higher the expectation, the bigger is the disappointment. And we don't want you to be disappointed. We think that you're doing amazing, but when you fully recover, you will be able to walk, but you will limp." I looked at my doctor and I told him, "I will play football again." So that was my goal during the whole time of rehabilitation. And and 1 year later, last review, I entered the office of my doctor. I didn't even say hello. I had a football with me. I entered and I started jumping the ball with my leg. He looked at me and he said, "Ah, I only did what I did just to motivate you." I didn't know if I wanted to hit him or hug him. I think I did both of them. So this was my way to go to the world. I traveled, I opened my own business, I went back, I studied political science, I made my way in a marketing and research company to become the CEO of the company. I managed 2,000 employers, Arab and Jewish, up until 2 years ago, where I decided to quit my job, leave an amazing job, by the way. Just the fact that I have a parking spot in Tel Aviv, my own private parking spot in Tel Aviv, that was amazing, huh? You cannot get a parking spot in Tel Aviv. Just because of that, I thought twice. No, I'm just joking. So for me, I quit my job, because I felt that my society, the Israeli society, and in particular the Israeli Arab society, are going backward and not forward. And then we established this amazing organization. This amazing organization called Together Vouch for Each Other. In Hebrew, it's بيخد عريفين זה לזה. And in Arabic, معا نكفل بعضنا البعض. The meaning is very simple. By the way, in Hebrew, there's a bit of a playing word, because Arivim, you can read it as Arivim, which is vouch, and it could be also Aravim, which is Arabs. There's a playing in the word, and we aimed it. We wanted to be like that. The organization itself, it's an Israeli Arab organization that want to be an integral part of the Israeli society, want to bring the Arab Israeli society closer to the Israeli society. If you listened before, I asked a question, a personal question, why I am not in the IDF. And I said it's on a personal note. Because when I speak on a public note as an organization, we're not aiming for the IDF. Because I don't think it's the solution to go and serve in the IDF. Not the IDF wants this, not the Israeli Arab wants this. But there is a perfect solution to give back to the country and at the same time give back to your community. And it's called the national service. When you serve in the national service, you serve your country and you serve your community in the hospital, in the police departments, in the fire departments, in the paramedics, special schools and special needs. So this is the solution where we can do 1 year, where we can contribute to our country, to our society, and then move forward in terms of fixing our problems, which is another goal that we are doing in the organization. And that goal is to fix the main problems that we have in the Arab society, in the Israeli Arab society, such as violence, especially violence against women, a better education. We want better infrastructures. Obviously, for our cities and villages, we want better budgets. Actually, we want to do everything that, unfortunately, our political Arab representatives in the joint list are not doing for us. We are not a political organization. We are a social organization, NGO, but we want to do what the politicians are not able to do for us. And one last thing that we do, and we will talk about it just a bit, it's hasbara. As minorities, as Muslims, Christians, Druze, Bedouin, we go out and we speak about Israel. The truth, the whole picture, even the bad things. Yes, we do have bad things, but we will leave this for now. Let's go back to the Israeli Arab society. Now, in Israel, there is 2 million Arabs, which is 21% of the population. What we're trying to do is actually bridge between the gaps. And we saw that the reason where there is a gap is because of lack of information. It's because of ignorance. And I'm going to give you 2 examples. I went and I spoke in a high school, in an Arabic high school in Nazareth. Now, if you go online and you put Yoseph Haddad, immediately you will see all the information about me, from videos on TV to articles, everything. So I'm telling you this because once I entered the high school, this Arab kid, Arab Israeli student, at the age of 18, he comes to me, shake my hand, and he says, I read about you before you came here, and I want to tell you that you are a traitor. You love Jewish people more than the Arabs, and you are a traitor, and all Jewish people hate us, and they are racist. That was the first thing he told me. I asked him a simple question. How many Jewish friends you have? He answered 0. I asked him, are you in an interaction with Jewish people? And no, not for going to buy something in Zara or McDonald's or something like this, but talking. He said, no. I told him, listen, sit down, listen to my lecture, and after that we will talk. And that's what happens. 1 hour later, he approached me, he apologized, and he said, you know what, there is something of what you said. I invited him to come to one of our activities. Today, he is an activist in our organization. This is one side. On the other side, I went and I spoke in front of a free military school. As again, kids at the age of 17, 18, before the army. And he came to me, the same thing. I did a research about you before you came here. And I want to tell you this, and watch and hear carefully what he told me. He said, I know what you did for the country. It doesn't matter for me. You are an Arab. All Arabs are terrorists. And then he added the sentence, a good Arab is a dead Arab. That was the sentence. I asked him again a simple question. How many Arab friends do you have? By now, I'm guessing that everybody is already knowing the answer, which is 0. I talked during the lecture. After that, he approached me and he said, I want to apologize. I spoke out of ignorance, and then I invited him to come and to see what I'm talking about, because there's nothing better than that to see. Today, he is an activist in our organization. Not only that, each time I tell this story, when there is a lot of activists coming, immediately, both of them, they cooperate, immediately. So what we're saying here is that we have a side, extreme side from here, an extreme side from here, and suddenly they're not so much extreme, but rather together. By the way, you will see me doing this a lot, together vouch for each other. And this is our problem, guys. Our problem is the extremists from both sides, because the majority of the Israeli population are not racist. The majority of the Arab Israelis, they don't hate Jews. And you know what? More than that, a survey that was done just 2 months ago by the Democratic Institute asked Israeli Arabs, how much do you feel related to Israel and its problems? More than 72% of the Israeli Arabs answered, we feel very much related. And I think the corona pandemic showed for the first time the truth of this cooperation, of this partnership. Because for the first time, the media and the social media didn't really care about Palestinian flags and the protest, but they showed the real reality, the daily reality between Arabs and Jews. When they showed a Muslim woman, while she was fasting in the Ramadan, doing a barbecue for Holocaust survivors on Independence Day. And when they asked her, you don't have to do it, she said, I'm not doing it because I have to. I'm doing it because I want to, and I love them. When we saw a Muslim paramedic and a Jewish paramedic praying at the same time, each one in different direction, but together, while they are working and fighting this pandemic. And then we saw 2 Muslim nurses helping a Holocaust survivor that got the coronavirus, put the tefillin on him and pray because he couldn't do it by himself. This is the daily reality that you will never see on TV because it's not raining. Just yesterday, there was protest in Haifa. The subject or the main idea was hundreds of Israeli Arabs are protesting with Palestinian flags. They took one good picture. I swear to you guys, I counted. Maybe 65 there were, 65 people, but they would say hundreds because it is rating. And pictures like this, like showing the real partnership, nobody will talk about. I'm gonna give you 2 more surveys that happened just recently. They ask Israeli Arabs, how do you define yourself? They ask 10,000 Israeli Arabs, how do you define yourself? And they give 5 categories. The first one is as Palestinian, the second one as Arabs, the second as Israelis, the fourth was as Israeli Arabs, and the fifth one as others. The instant answer would be the majority answered either as Arabs or as Palestinians. But guess what? More than 74% answered either Israeli Arabs or Israelis. Palestinian with only 7% came in last. I am saying that because I want you guys to understand that the Israeli Arabs are proud of being Arabs, but also they're having this, especially in the younger generation, understanding that they are related to Israel as well in terms of being citizens in Israel and being an Arab Israelis. After actually, the deal of the century was presented by Donald Trump, and obviously the idea of moving the triangle villages to Palestine, which I'm against, totally against. They are Israeli citizens. They're not going anywhere, and it will never happen as well. They asked the Israeli Arabs with the biggest survey. It was in a Facebook page called the Arabs of the Year 48. More than 28,000 people participated in that survey, and they asked them, "Are you willing to give up your Israeli ID to have a Palestinian ID?" 28,000 people answered this survey. 74% of them said, "No, we are not willing to give up the Israeli ID." Now, I'm here talking to you guys about this, and I have a purpose. And my purpose is to show you how today extremists from both sides are actually controlling our life, the Jewish and the Arab Israelis. And how us as an organization, we came and we actually now the biggest threat for both of them. Because for the first time, there is an Arab organization. By the way, the board of this organization is assembled from women and men, Christian, Muslim, Bedouin, Druze, and we have also Jewish, because we wanted the whole sectors to be part of this organization. But we are an Arab organization. And for the first time, we are a threat for the Jewish extremists, that their agenda is, no matter what we will do, the Arabs will never want to be part of the Israeli society. And then we come and we demolish this theory, because we do want to be part of the Israeli society. And by the way, today or yearly, more than 5,000 Arab Israelis volunteering to the national service yearly, which means every year another 5,000 Arab Israelis. Most of them, by the way, coming from the Muslim community. Yes, they are larger, obviously, but it's still something. And then we are actually a threat on the agenda of the extremist Arab. Because for the first time, on the surface, we are proving to them that the Jewish, or the majority of the Jewish Israelis, want the Arab to be part of the Israeli society, and they are not racist. And for them, that's a big threat. And you know when I understood that I'm in the right path? When those guys from here, which they are loud, violent, start to cooperate against us. Then I said, we are doing something right. And that's the path. Guys, I am getting threats. Just last Sunday, I started my day, opened my phone, and I had a threat: stop doing what you're doing. And obviously, it's something that I expected it. In a funny way, I always say Hezbollah tried to kill me with a rocket and they didn't manage, so I will not be intimidated by a message. But I am careful, and I am looking at my, just to be in case and stuff like this. But afraid I'm not. I will continue. We will continue as an organization. We will continue with our path, and I think it's very important. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm sure a lot of you also asking in a political way. So how come what you're talking about right now is not translated into politics? Why the joint list is having more than 15 chairs in the Knesset? Why the majority of the Israeli Arabs are voting for the joint list? If the joint list talking all the time bad things about Israel, and if the Israeli Arabs really want to be part of the Israeli society, why they keep voting for the joint list? I don't know why, but I have a feeling that you already asked this question, and maybe Adam wanted to tell me that later, but I'm gonna anyway.
That's my question.
So I knew it. But so I'm gonna be ahead, and I'm going to answer the question for you guys. Let's go back to the 20th Knesset, before the three in a row election. The joint list was 13 seats. For 4.5 years, they didn't do anything for us. And because of that, they actually collapsed and become two political parties. And on the 21st election, for the Knesset, 21st Knesset election, the majority of the Israeli Arabs didn't vote for the joint list. The majority of the Israeli Arabs didn't vote at all because they were fed up, because there's no alternative. There was no Jewish political party alternative, not Likud, not Blue and White, not Meretz, not Avodah. So they didn't vote because they were desperate as well. We are fed up. And then we went to the 3 elections in a row. And during those 3 years of 3 elections in a row, all the cards were good for the joint list, played good for the joint list. Because what happened is a lot of incitement against the Israeli Arabs. When a lot of talk says, we're not going to sit with the Arabs, only after 2 election campaigns, it's changed from not sitting with the Arabs to not sitting with the joint list. And I think you know what I'm talking about. And there were literally no other alternative. Think about it. If you are an Israeli Arab, to what political party you want us to vote? Let's take the parts and see. You want us to vote to Meretz, Avodah, Gesher, while they are the one in the last election took the only representative, Asawi Freish, who was number 4, and pushed him out of the 10th position. Who want us to vote for? Blue and White? A party that was assembled like a puzzle, but no one found the opportunity to bring an Israeli Arab to be in the top 10. You know what? In the top 20 to represent the Israeli Arabs. Not only that, they didn't even do a campaign. And trust me, I sat down with some of the Knesset members from Blue and White. They are sorry about that, but it's too little, too late. Who do you want us to vote for? To the Likud guys? Unfortunately, it was also too little, too late. And there was no Arab representative. And I'm not going to open it in a way to come and say it is a criticism, but I'm saying it because I want a change. This criticism comes because I want a change. Because the Likud is today the biggest political party, and they should talk to the Israeli Arabs, and they should represent programs and projects to the Israeli Arab, and they should have representative in the top 10. And people would come to and say to me, hey, Likud is a democratic political party. We have primaries. But guys, it didn't stop bringing the Ethiopian political person from Blue and White to the Likud when the Likud wanted to talk to the Ethiopian community. I'm not against it. It's very good that the Likud tried to do that. But it means that the Likud could have done the same thing for the Israeli Arabs who want to be a part of the Israeli society. And by the way, guys, although they did a small campaign, it got them more than 10,000 votes. Imagine small campaign with no representative. Imagine if it would have been with representative, with a good campaign in Arabic, trying to do good for the Israeli Arab society as well. And I know about the budget that the Likud tried and passed, but guys, it's in a way, it's you know, checking if we are smart, if we're intelligent. Because in one part you give a bit of a millions, and in the other you actually incite. So it's not possible. So we left with the joint list, and the joint list played the cards very well. They came and they played the cards in a way. They stopped talking about the Palestinian issues. They stopped talking about incitements and occupation. They started only talking about the Israeli Arabs. Their slogan was, you have a voice. That was their slogan for the first time. And I think I will sum this up by saying, I have a friend who is serving in Magav, in the border police, in the IDF. Magav, an Israeli Arab, Muslim Israeli Arab. And he said, Yosef, no one can come and say that I don't love Israel and I don't protect Israel. I voted for the joint list. I didn't have any other choice. There's no alternative. So think just if you want really to answer even by yourself, put your position in the Arab-Israeli society and ask to who you will vote. Personally, unfortunately, I didn't vote. I went to the to vote, but I put a white note paper because I really don't have anyone to represent me. And to be honest with you guys, it is also part of it our fault because we don't have an alternative. But I can also tell you guys that there is voices talking about alternative now. So this is the part where I spoke about my story. I spoke about my life, my organization, a bit about politics. And now I'm going to bring you guys to talk about a bit of Hasbara. And then we're going to show a small video actually. And after that, we're going to open a Q&A. And I'll try to get an answer as much as I can. As I said, part of what we're doing in the organization is actually doing Hasbara as minorities. And we found that when we go and speak the truth about Israel and not afraid also to criticize Israel, we achieve better results than anybody else who doing Hasbara for Israel. I'll give you a simple example. I went to Harvard University. I've been asked to come to speak in front of the political science students. When I've been asked to do that, I told the professor, please make sure that you don't say my name, don't represent me, don't put a flyer, just say an Israeli person comes to talk about Israel. And I had a purpose. When I entered the class, I start talking to the students and to the professors in Harvard, and then and I had a plan, and I wanted something to happen, and it did happen after 25 minutes. And after 25 minutes, a student stood up and said, excuse me, you know what? I've been listening to you for the last 25 minutes, and I just want to say, it is obvious that you will speak like this about Israel. I expect from any Jewish guy to speak like this on Israel. I swear to you, with my most Arabic accent, I said, my name is Yoseph Haddad, and I'm an Israeli Arab. The shock that was there and the silence that was there, you could have dropped a feather and you hear the feather slam to the ground. After that, the commotion and the talk was really loud because people starting to understood that whatever I said, it was from the point of view of an Israeli Arab and not a Jewish. And more people were fascinated about that. And then after the lecture, a student from Dubai came to me and said, Yusuf, wow, we spoke in Arabic, obviously. They said, Yusuf, wow, I wasn't expecting that. That's one. And second, you showed me a lot of information. And third, the fact that you criticized Israel as well in your lecture made me believe you. And when we were talking about criticize, guys, one of the questions was, is there racism in Israel? Of course. You cannot deny that. Even me as an IDF ex-soldier who was wounded and I'm doing in front of the line for the Hasbara, I suffer from racism. But is it the majority? No. Second, is only Israel racist? They have racism in their society? Unfortunately, and I'm saying it unfortunately, in every society in the world, we suffer from racism. So you cannot only say it specifically about Israel. My choice and our organization choice is not to feel sad about it, rather than to actually try to fix it within our society. And do you know how we did it, for instance? When we were the largest group who participated in an anti-Semitism protest, we went and participated in it. And I actually was a key speaker in that protest. And when I opened my speech by saying, hello, marhaba, we came from Shfa'amr, we came from Haifa, from Nazareth, from Akka, from Yafa, from Safad. And we are here to protest against anti-Semitism. Immediately, every Jewish person who was there cannot ever think of being racist again, because when he sees Arab people are protesting against anti-Semitism, he cannot be racist. He will feel immediately obligated. And that's what we're doing. This is part of our doing. By the way, one other thing that we did is actually we brought the Holocaust Memorial to the Israeli Arab Society. And for the first time last year, we held something called Memory in Your Living Room. There is this organization called Zikaron Basalon. They do a memory in the living room. They bring you an eyewitness and we talk about the Holocaust. And for the first time, we did that last year. An eyewitness came and spoke to Israeli, Arabs, Muslim, Christian, and Druze about it. This year, we did it by Zoom because of the corona pandemic. And we did more than 40 Zoom meetings about this with an eyewitness. It's crazy, guys. And more people want to know about this. And we do also lectures between Jewish people and Arab people in order to partnership, to be together. So we've seen this, and that's what we do. But we also do something that unfortunately a lot of organizations don't do. And that's, we don't feel sorry, we don't say sorry, and we don't defend ourselves, but we attack. We attack the BDS, we attack activists. If they are lying, we say to them they are lying immediately, we don't wait, and we don't defend. We attack, guys. That's our approach to this issue against anti-Israeli organization, and especially against the BDS. Now, Adam, please, it is the time to put the video that I asked you to put.
Okay.
And then we're going to continue to talk for 2 minutes, and I'll open the Q&A.
Like the BDS leader here just asked me to be quiet because it's very hard for me to hear the truth. So,
I'm Yoseph Haddad, Israeli Arab. Born in Haifa, raised in Nazareth, CEO of the organization Together Vouch for Each Other. Organization that fights the BDS.
Israeli Apartheid Week that gets underway tomorrow. The question that we've been debating this evening, is Israel an apartheid state?
One day, I got a phone call from the Ministry of Strategic Affairs. We need you in South Africa to fight the BDS. I made me a cup of coffee, packed my luggage, and I found myself on the way to the airport immediately. Once the interview starts and the panel starts, I knew that they would lie.
During this recent coronavirus outbreak in Israel, you have the Israeli Ministry of Health that issues notices to its population, which includes Palestinians, but they only issue it in Hebrew, not in Arabic.
You need to say to a liar that he's a liar immediately.
That's a lie. Sorry,
that's a lie.
Sorry, can I?
No, that's a lie.
Sorry,
no, that's a lie.
Yusuf, I think,
lies.
I
know, but you cannot lie.
Is Israel an apartheid state?
First of all, I think that the audience or viewers should know who really I am. And I'm an Israeli Arab.
I was in the IDF. I was an Israeli Arab who was commander in the IDF. I was commander in Jewish soldiers. This is not apartheid. And I got the Corona instructions in Arabic, by the way. So one, stop lying, okay? Two, ask me, I will tell you the truth. We are right now working in Israel on finding an antidote for the coronavirus. My question to you, if Israel managed to achieve a corona antidote, will you use it? Yes or no? Simply. Allow me to answer the question. Sure. So during apartheid, we had, for example, the first heart transplant that took place. It did not allow the apartheid government to then hold the whole world to ransom. Israel's expertise can't be used as a form of blackmail for what it's
I'm asking if you would use it or not. I've waited for that opportunity.
If he says yes, then he's a hypocrite. And if he says no, then what do you want to do? If all South African needed this antidote. So we're seeing that right now, literally on air.
We're going to take a quick ad break. We're going to take.
After the show, I went to Muhammad Desai and I said, Muhammad, you didn't answer a simple question. Okay. Muhammad, I still didn't. Would you use the corona antidote? Would you use the corona antidote? Muhammad, would you use the antidote? Would you use it? He started looking at me with a way that you could see the hatred in his eyes. Muhammad, why are you not answering the question? He knows. But if he says, yes, I would use the antidote, then he's just a hypocrite. because he's calling for to boycott Israel at any aspect, right? Later, I had another debate with another BDS activist. Her name is Dudu. She said that when she landed in Israel, at the airport, she was stopped 3 times for interrogation just because she was black.
From the flight to the immigration, you walk about 15 minutes. And along that route, in that 15 minutes, there are a couple of Israeli officers who will stop you at any time because of the color of my skin.
She said at that interview that she was going to lie to the Israeli officers when she enters Israel.
I said, no, I'm here just to fulfill my spirit. Unfortunately, we have to give a bit of a lie for us to go in. Give a bit of a lie. Give a bit of a lie for us to go in.
And I had to call her about that.
You tell the audience that you are going to lie to the Israeli office, and you're going to lie while you are entering Israel when they ask you, what are you going to do? The reason I'm telling you this, because they didn't stop you for nothing. When you, in your mind, know that you are going to lie, you actually behave like a liar.
So what's your response to what he's saying?
Firstly, I didn't lie when I went to Israel. Give a bit of a lie for us to go in.
Next time, don't lie.
I'm saying this because any Arab in Israel can become what he wants.
אני נמצא בדרום אפריקה, באזור מאוד עני, והגעתי לכאן לפגוש חברי מפלגת ה-EFF. זו מפלגה שחלק גדול ממנה הם למעשה אנטי-ישראלים.
Scientists are calling it a breakthrough in developments around antibodies and how they respond to diseases like COVID-19.
All right. Okay. So guys, this video was actually edited by 4IL, which is a part of the strategic office in
Hello, welcome to the show.
Israel.
I'm Jimmy Kimmel, and tonight I'd like to talk to you about
Sorry.
an exciting opportunity to sell
no problem.
skincare products from home. You know, the experience of
Shut that down.
a television show from my house has been strange and a little bit isolating, but I've learned a
Hold
lot
on.
more about my coworkers than I expected I would.
Jimmy
So this is a text that several of us got from our supervising producer, Gary.
There we go.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So what I was saying is that eventually you saw in the video exactly why I said that we have a different approach when we talk about Hezbollah. We attack, and at the same time, we are not afraid of criticizing our country. Actually, I always say, not only I need to criticize, but I have to. I'm obligated because I am a citizen, and this is my country, and I love my country, and I will do anything for my country, including fixing our problems. That's what we do. We do this Hasbara tours, a lot of it by myself, sometimes with other Christian, Muslim, Druze activists. We do it directly from our organization and with cooperation with other organizations such as Stand With Us, Jewish Agency, and Cameron Campus, and other organizations that fight as well. And this is basically what we do, guys. That's it. I hope you enjoyed my lecture, and now we will take few Q&A.
So a couple of people have already written in some questions, and I see a couple more coming in. We have been on already for nearly an hour, so we'll try to get a couple of these in.
Yeah, and I do have to finish within 10 to 15 minutes because
no worries. We'll do our best. And we'll do our best. So actually, both Stephen Arlo and someone else who, unfortunately, I don't see your name there, are asking similar questions. Number one, you should know that a number of the comments here that we're receiving are very, very positive, and wish that they could clone you many times so that we could have many more Yoseph Haddads out there speaking.
There is many more Yoseph Haddad that
we need to meet them more, and
the only thing is that they are not talking. They are afraid because of the extremists. We are working on that as well.
So both those individuals come and ask a similar question with respect to the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva, and whether or not you sing it. And I'm sure you've received this question before, but I want to add on to that the idea of the nation-state law. So if you could respond to that together.
Okay. Do I have a problem with the national anthem? Yes. Do I sing the national anthem? Yes. Do I change one word in the national anthem? Yes. כל עוד בלבב פנימה, נפש ישראלי הומייה. I don't want by law to change it. It doesn't matter for me. It's what I feel, how I feel related to it. And I'm going to give you an amazing story that will say the whole thing. A year ago, I participated in an official ceremony from the IDF Veterans Organization in Canada. With me, there was another 3 IDF veterans. One of them, by the way, was from Jerusalem. He's a lawyer, fan of Beit Jerusalem, a very right on the political map. And you will immediately understand why I'm saying this like that. The guy that was responsible for the ceremony came to us and said, okay, guys, so the ceremony will start with the national anthem, the Canadian national anthem, and then it's going to go for the Israeli national anthem, and then you're going to talk, and blah, blah, blah. He went, and then the guy turned to me and he said, Yosef, are you going to sing the national anthem? I said, yes. The only thing is that I'm not Jewish, so I'm not going to say Nefesh Yehudi, I'm going to say Nefesh Israeli to be related to it. And that's it. We stopped talking about it. We go on the stage, up on the stage. The Canadian anthem is finished. We started singing the Israeli national anthem. We came to the part where we say Nefesh Yehudi, and obviously I said Nefesh Israeli. But then I heard, in this year and this year, I heard everybody join me and said Nefesh Israeli. I didn't ask them. I didn't wanted that. I didn't say nothing. I did have goosebumps. I did felt excited and emotion. And after the ceremony, I looked at the guys and I said, guys, you said Nefesh Israeli as well. I said, we couldn't let you say it alone. We had to be part of it as well. This is the change that I'm talking about. Not making it obligatory, not forcing to change it, but by believing that we are Israelis. And for me, just for me, I would say Nefesh Israeli. This is my answer for the national anthem. As for the national law, guys, I don't want to change the fact that Israel is a Jewish state, but Israel is a democratic state and it should go together in a law by definition, which means Israel is a Jewish democratic state equals. It's a trivial thing to me and to you. Because eventually we are all Israelis and eventually we are equal. And that this definition in the national law, there is actually 3 sections that we need to fix. The first one is to add to the Jewish state, a Jewish state, the Jewish democratic state equals between all of us. And I've been proving through the last 2 years, I've been proving that it's possible to have a Jewish state and democratic state. It doesn't really hit, it actually goes together. And I'm a living proof. I'm a living proof of that. Whatever I wanted, I achieved. And the problems that we have, we can fix it only if we want. Both sides. As for the Arabic, it needs to go back to be an official language. Because by the way, it didn't really change. It's still the same. It's just the status changed. But the same treatment there is. And even Amir Rouhana and others said that it just was a poke in the eyes for the Israeli Arab politicians. We just want to poke them in the eyes. That's why we did it. Not only I think the Arab should be official language, but guys, I think that Arabic should be taught in the Jewish schools, because it would be easier also to communicate. A lot of Israeli Arabs speaks, the majority, the total majority, they speak Hebrew. And the way we speak Hebrew, it will be easier if the Jewish people understand 20% of the population mother tongue language. The example is amazing. Usually I drive a car, but one time I went with my friend on the bus and we spoke in Arabic. In front of us, there was a Jewish person who just turned around and said, "Excuse me, can I be honest?" And I said, "Yes, sure." And he said, "I'm afraid." I said, "Why are you afraid?" "Because you're speaking Arabic, I don't understand. And for me, speaking Arabic, it sounds like you are a terrorist." And I said, "But if you would have understand, then you would have known that we are talking about Israeli problems, how stinky the driver is and rude, how traffic is bad traffic we have, and the fact that it's hot. So we're complaining like any Israelis." And I said, "Yes, yes, I know, I'm sorry." But he shared it. But I said to him, "Go learn Arabic." Not in terms of forgetting where you're coming from or what, but this is how you actually breach between the gaps, guys. So this is my thought about the national law and the national anthem.
So this is the last question is because we've run out of time, and I know you have to go. The truth is that I have had the opportunity, and I know many others on this call have had the opportunity to hear Israeli Arabs speak, and for the most part, or I don't know for the most part, but generally speaking, it seems like those Israeli Arabs are Christian Arabs. But when it comes to the Israeli Arabs that are Muslim Arabs, you do not hear or have as many opportunities to hear them speaking out similar to you. Can you speak to that that dynamic between Israeli Christians and Christian Arabs versus Muslim Arabs?
You know, it's simple, and actually there's a lot of misleading conceptions. Unfortunately, I say it, the nationals, the most national Palestinian advocates were Christian Arab Israelis. I'll give you Azmi Bishara and I give you Basil Ghattas. Azmi Bishara is actually a person who is called to be a spy and a traitor, and he is a Christian. So it's not about that, because you don't really know. Nobody really know because, for instance, just before a few weeks ago, there was an article about two twins that serve in the Golani and they're Muslims from Al-Fahim. Nobody knows about these stories because it's hard to find it. And the other one is specifically, it's because of the barrier of the language in English. But in our organization, we have Muslims, and we have Muslims that they can come and talk. But the problem is a bit of the English. Sometimes we do translation, sometimes we are teaching. By the way, we are giving courses in English to improve it in order to go to represent. So it's not true. I understand where this thought is coming from. I do understand that. But it's not completely true. It's not black and white. There is a gray area here. And the gray area here is, first of all, I am not representing myself as a Christian. I always represent myself as an Arab Israeli, not Zionist. Okay? Guys, I'm telling you right now, I'm not a Zionist. I'm proud Arab and I'm proud Israeli. Okay? But I'm not a Zionist. A Zionist is actually, by definition, it's a Zionist movement that targeted Jewish people to bring them back to Israel. Today, Zionism, it becomes either the right of the Jewish to have the right on the Israeli land or the love of Israel, but it's not, because at the same time you have the Arabs saying that Zionism is Judaism, which is also wrong. The definition is Zionism, the Zionist organization targeted Jewish people. I'm an Arab, I was never targeted by them, so I have nothing to do with it. I am an Israeli, I am an Arab, I'm proud of both of them, and I will continue to protect my country, and I will do everything also to fix problems in my country. And as for the Muslims, we have a lot of voices like this. It is a bit of a problem to hear them because some reasons. But in our organization, we do also have. So it's not on the either black or white. It is a gray spot, and we will see, more. We are working on bringing more voices like this. And as I said, I'm not representing my religion. I'm representing my society. One, my Arab Israeli society. Two, the whole Israeli society.
So I want to thank you very much, and I look forward when we finally have an opportunity to bring our groups, our leadership missions back to Israel, that we will come to visit with you in Nazareth and visit you with the organization and together vouch for each other. Sorry?
You are more than welcome for knafi and good coffee.
Okay, we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much for joining us today, Yosef. Thank you, everyone on the line.
Bye-bye.
See you next time. Remember, www.aflikud.org. Thanks all. Thanks all. Bye-bye.